Conservative lawmakers are shifting the conversation about the death penalty in multiple states, and One America's Meghann Dyke looks at the fight against capital punishment.
State politicians across the country are working across partisan lines as they attempt to repeal the death penalty. Republicans in Georgia, Louisiana, and New Hampshire are leading and co-sponsoring legislation proposing an end to capital punishment. The rise in conservatives seeking to end government-funded executions is due in part to the financial aspect of trying these cases in court and the appeals that follow. Further, the Death Penalty Information Center recently found the practice doesn't deter crime, showing 25 people were executed last year, up from 2 in 2017, but down from a peak of 98 in 1999.
Murders have dropped by 30%, but executions have dropped by 75%, and new death sentences have dropped by more than 85%. It's a combination of a number of things, I think. One is we now have 164 people who've been exonerated after having been wrongly convicted and wrongly sentenced to death. The second is folks have become more aware of how frail some of the evidence is that people are sentenced on.
But the movement is facing backlash from lawmakers on both sides who cite the interests of their constituents for their hesitation. They say, leave it up to the citizens to decide whether or not to outlaw capital punishment, as well as the families of those impacted by the crimes of those inmates. In California, Democrat Governor Gavin Newsom drew public outrage after placing a moratorium on executions of more than 730 death row inmates.
There was a National Academy of Science report that came out that estimates 1 out of every 25 people on death row is innocent. If that's the case, that means if we move forward with executing 737 people in California, we will have executed roughly 30 people that are innocent.
Newsom's decision came despite citizens voting to leave the state's capital punishment intact 2 times in the 2012 and 2016 referendums. President Trump also slammed Newsom as a vocal proponent of the death penalty, especially for convicted drug dealers amid the ongoing opioid crisis.
These are terrible people, and we have to get tough on those people, because we can have all the blue ribbon committees we want, but if we don't get tough on the drug dealers, we're wasting our time. Just remember that. We're wasting our time. And that toughness includes the death penalty.
Lawmakers in Colorado were recently forced to withdraw a GOP-sponsored bill, which was supported by the conservatives concerned about the death penalty organization. Democrat State Representative Tom Sullivan was an opponent of the measure, who cited his son Alex as the reason. Alex was one of 12 people killed in the 2012 mass shooting in Aurora after a gunman opened fire on those attending a late-night screening of The Dark Knight Rises.
It's not a theory, it's not a big picture thing. We actually lived it. Even after the fact, there was no remorse from what he had done. There's every indication if he were to have another chance at this, he would try to do it again.
Meantime, the death penalty battle is paving the way for what some political analysts predict will be a defining campaign issue on the road to the 2020 election season. Meghann Dyke, One American News.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One American News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly demand that One American News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.